The Carina expanse glowed like a wound in the void. A nebula of crimson and gold veiled the stars, swirling with volatile gases that shimmered under the light of dying suns. Within its turbulent heart, two fleets faced one another, one vast and radiant, the other small but unnervingly silent. On the command deck of the alien flagship Veraxis, Chancellor Varix leaned back in his throne-like chair, crest spines glimmering with arrogance. The Veraxis was a cathedral of war, its hull plated in golden alloys and strung with energy conduits that pulsed like veins of lightning. Around it, the Concorde fleet formed a wall of armored behemoths, cruisers, dread barges, and sentinel carriers, each designed not only to fight, but to inspire awe. Through the vast viewing window, the human ships arrived, 7 vessels, their hulls dark and unadorned, without the gleaming ornamentation of Concorde design. Varix narrowed his eyes, his mandibles twitching in disdain. "So this is Earth's answer," he said, voice echoing through the chamber. 7 steel husks, barely worthy of escort duty. His aide, a lean functionary, bowed low. "They bring their flagship, Chancellor. A primitive construct they call the Retribution. They imagine it equal to one of our guard frigates." Laughter rippled through the alien officers present. The air thickened with smug certainty. Varix allowed himself a slow smile. "Let them see what true civilization looks like." Across the gulf of space, Admiral Elena Drake stood on the bridge of the UNS Retribution. Her crew moved with disciplined precision, voices calm, eyes steady, though the alien fleet's sheer size loomed across the tactical displays like a tidal wave poised to break. Drake's dark hair was tied in a sharp knot, her uniform crisp, her gaze cutting from one console to the next. She clasped her hands behind her back, posture anchored as if the galaxy itself might try to push her aside. "They've arrayed their fleet for spectacle," said Commander Rees, her XO. His voice carried no fear, only observation. "Broad formations, power signatures flaring like banners. They want intimidation." Drake gave a faint nod. "That's all it is. Noise." Lieutenant Aidan Holt, the youngest on the bridge, shifted uneasily at his station. "With respect, Admiral, their ships outmass ours 10 to 1. That's not just noise." Drake turned her gaze toward him. Calm, deliberate. "Size isn't strength, Lieutenant. Remember that. Keep your board steady." He swallowed hard, but her certainty steadied him. The bridge returned to silence, broken only by the hum of systems. The alien transmission struck like a fanfare. The voice of Varix filled the bridge, booming through translation software with theatrical weight. "Humans of Earth. You stand before the Concorde, guardians of the stars, arbiters of power. You are hatchlings crawling from your cradle. Today you will accept truth, kneel, offer tribute, and live under our protection, or resist, and be erased." The words hung heavy. Drake waited until the last echo faded before she stepped toward the holodisplay, her voice cutting through like a blade. "Chancellor Varix," she said evenly, "humanity does not kneel. We come as equals. Nothing less." Gasps of disbelief rippled across alien bridges, audible even in their open channels. The Concorde expected trembling, not defiance. Varix laughed, the sound low and cruel. "Bravery suits the ignorant. Do you not see the gulf between us? Your fleet is but a shadow before the Concorde." Drake's reply carried no tremor. "Shadows are sharp when cast against light. Test us if you doubt." The channel cut abruptly. Silence followed, more dangerous than words. On the Retribution's bridge, Rees leaned closer. "They'll escalate. He won't allow defiance to go unanswered." "That's the plan," Drake murmured. She kept her tone low, for the crew's ears alone. "Arrogance blinds them. Let it draw them closer." Around her, the officers exchanged brief glances, understanding unspoken. The Retribution held her secrets tight, weapons dormant but ready. To outside scans, she appeared no more dangerous than a standard heavy cruiser. On the Veraxis, Varix's crest spines rattled with amusement. He gestured to his fleet commanders. "Show these upstarts their place. Form the circle. Display our strength." Alien vessels obeyed, moving with ponderous grace into a wide formation that hemmed the humans in on every side. Brilliant energy lines flared along alien hulls, a light show meant to impress. "They must be choking on fear now," one captain said proudly. "They should," Varix replied. "But we will remind them further." His claws tapped the armrest. "Prepare a demonstration shot. Close enough to rattle them, not enough to kill. They will break." Orders rippled outward. A Concorde cruiser turned its massive gun arrays toward the humans. The energy cores pulsed bright as suns. On the Retribution, Lieutenant Holt stiffened as his board lit with readings. "Admiral, charging signatures. One of their cruisers is preparing to fire." Drake's voice was steady. "Hold position." Ruiz frowned. "If they're serious, they won't strike us outright." "Not yet. They want a show." She clasped her hands tighter behind her back. "We'll give them silence in return." The cruiser fired. A colossal lance of energy screamed past the Retribution, tearing through the void and dissipating in the nebula beyond. The shockwave rippled the human hull, rattling panels, but no damage registered. Alien laughter erupted over open channels, mocking and cruel. "See?" one alien voice sneered. "One shot to scatter the primates." Drake leaned forward slightly, her voice calm but hard. "Transmit message: if they fire again, there will be consequences." Holt hesitated only a moment before sending the warning. The aliens ignored it, their voices growing louder, pride swelling. Varix sat back, amused. "They hold position. Either they are paralyzed, or they are fools. Fire another closer. Let their bones feel it." "Yes, Chancellor." On the human bridge, Holt's eyes widened. "They're charging again. This one's locked closer." Drake turned toward her crew, voice low but cutting through the rising tension. "Steady. Not a sound out of place." The alien blast came, a brilliant surge passing within a breath of their hull. Consoles flickered from the energy surge, sparks hissing. Crew members steadied themselves, but no one broke formation. Varix's laughter thundered across channels. "They endure, but for what? Their pride buys them nothing." Drake's expression hardened. She stepped forward, each word clear, precise, final. "Enough." She turned to Ruiz. "Prepare the cannons." The order passed like a spark through the crew. The bridge came alive with quiet, controlled urgency. Systems hummed, concealed ports on the Retribution's hull shifting for the first time. Alien scanners registered nothing unusual. To them, the humans remained toothless. Drake stood tall, eyes fixed on the alien flagship. "One more shot, and we answer. Let them choose." The nebula's golden glow reflected in her gaze, calm and unshaken as two civilizations teetered on the edge of revelation. The Concorde fleet glowed like a wall of suns. Dozens of vessels formed a great arc around the humans, each massive cruiser burning with energy. Their formation closed slowly, as if to squeeze the humans into surrender. The void filled with alien light, a deliberate display meant to blind and terrify. On the Veraxis, Chancellor Varix leaned forward, his crest shimmering with pride. The humans had not flinched, even after 2 warning shots, but he read their silence as weakness. He waved a claw. "Closer. Let them feel the weight of inevitability." Obediently, his fleet constricted, thousands of cannons trained on 7 ships that appeared insignificant in comparison. On the bridge of the UNS Retribution, Admiral Drake watched calmly as the alien formation tightened. The tactical display painted them as a swarm of glowing giants, surrounding a handful of human vessels. "They're hurting us," Ruiz murmured, his eyes on the shifting markers. "Trying to push us into panic." Drake's hands remained clasped behind her back. "Let them finish their performance." Lieutenant Holt swallowed hard. "That last shot nearly clipped our hull. If they fire any closer." Drake turned slightly, her gaze steady. "We warned them. If they fire again, they choose the outcome. Not us." Her voice steadied the room. The bridge crew bent back to their duties with renewed focus. No one raised their tone, no one fumbled emotion. The ship hummed like a bowstring drawn to its limit. The Concorde's second demonstration had left ripples of mockery echoing across the alien channels. Officers laughed, their voices thick with contempt. See how they cling to silence. They dare bring toys against warships? A single cruiser could erase them all. Varric silenced the chatter with a gesture. Their pride prevents surrender. Pride must be broken. One of his captains hesitated. Chancellor, they still hold formation. Could they have hidden strength? Varric's mandibles flexed in irritation. Look at them. Bare metal shells. No ornament, no grandeur. They mistake austerity for cunning. There is no strength in their silence. His voice dripped with certainty. Fire again. Closer still. Let them know the line they tread. The order swept outward. A cruiser aligned its weapons, charging for another shot. The Concorde fleet prepared to revel in human panic. Holt's board lit with alarm. Admiral, cruiser charging again. This time, they've narrowed the targeting cone. Drake did not move. Distance? Projected pass within 30 meters, maybe less. A few officers exchanged uneasy glances. Sparks still marked panels from the last shot. Another blast at such proximity risked more than intimidation. Rees leaned close. They're daring you to respond. Drake's eyes remained locked on the central display. No. They think we cannot. That is the mistake. The alien beam tore through space. It passed so near the retribution that the hull shuddered like struck metal, alarms flaring as systems compensated for the surge. Console lights dimmed then steadied. Crew braced, but none broke posture. Alien channels erupted in laughter, cruel and mocking. Did you see them shake? Another like that and their shells will peel apart. Pathetic. Drake's face hardened. Her voice, quiet yet iron, cut through the bridge. Enough. She turned toward tactical. Bring the cannons online. The words landed like a strike. Officers straightened, voices suddenly taut with readiness. Systems came alive, hidden hatches along the Retribution's hull sliding open. Weapon ports once concealed within armor rotated outward with silent precision. To alien scans, the shift was nearly invisible, readings masked, signatures faint. Ruiz exhaled slowly. They don't see it yet. They will, Drake answered. Her tone was calm, almost cold. Prepare target lock. Choose their boldest cruiser. Holt hesitated, eyes wide at his panel. Admiral, confirming, weapons locked. Orbital cannon primed. The power thrummed through the ship, vibrations barely perceptible underfoot. Crew members felt it, a heartbeat coursing through metal. On the Veraxis, Varix reclined with smug satisfaction. They rattled but refused to speak. Their admiral is too stubborn to admit defeat. His aide lowered his head. Perhaps we destroy one ship, Chancellor, to make the lesson sharper? Varix's laugh was dry. No. That would be wasteful. Their humiliation feeds our authority more than their destruction. He gestured lazily. Prepare another warning shot. Even closer this time. Let them fear we can touch their skin without tearing it. The captain of the gunnery cruiser received the order. Energy fields charged bright, weapons glowing like miniature suns. The fleet's channels filled with anticipation. Drake's eyes narrowed as the readings flared across her display. The Concorde was preparing a fourth strike. This one would leave no doubt of intent. Admiral, Breeze said low, their arrogance blinds them. This is the moment. Drake raised her hand. All stations ready. The bridge hushed. Every officer waited, breath held, hands steady on their controls. The ship's systems thrummed, a restrained predator waiting to pounce. Drake's voice carried no tremor. If they fire again, we answer. One strike. No warning. Her words settled across the crew, clear and final. Varix leaned forward, crest flaring with satisfaction as the gunnery cruiser loosed its charge. The energy lance blazed, slicing past the human flagship at terrifying proximity. The void shook with its passage. Alien channels filled with laughter once more. See how they cling still? Not even defiance remains, only fear. Varix spread his claws wide, basking in triumph. It is finished. They will beg soon enough. But on the Retribution, silence reigned. The laughter echoed through comms, but no human voice rose to meet it. Drake stood unmoving, eyes locked on the flagship. Then she spoke, each word a strike of iron. Tactical. Fire. The order snapped through the bridge like a current. Hands moved without hesitation. Systems locked, weapons aligned. The ship groaned with contained power. The orbital cannon, dormant until now, roared awake with a low vibration that trembled through bulkheads. Crew braced. Lights dimmed. The Predator uncoiled. The void itself seemed to pause. Then the UNS Retribution fired. From its hidden ports erupted a beam of blinding plasma, compressed into a single incandescent spear. The shot crossed the distance in a heartbeat, slamming into the alien cruiser that had mocked humanity most. For one brilliant instant, the vessel shone like a star. The next, it shattered, armor plates bursting apart in molten fragments. The laughter on alien channels died mid-breath. Silence replaced arrogance. Dozens of Concord officers stared at their monitors, mouths open, unable to process what they'd seen. On the Veraxis, Chancellor Varix rose sharply from his throne. No, impossible! Their ship cannot wield such power! His aides scrambled, claws clattering across consoles. Readings confirm catastrophic destruction, Chancellor. The cruiser is gone. Varix's mandibles clicked furiously. Then strike back! Kill them! Now! On the Retribution's bridge, the glow of the cannon faded, leaving only drifting debris on the view screens. Drake stood unmoving, voice as cold as the void. Target acquired. Prepare the next shot. Her officers moved with silent efficiency. Ruiz glanced at her, a hint of awe in his eyes. One cruiser erased in seconds. They wanted a lesson, Drake answered. We'll ensure they remember it. The human fleet stirred to life. Warships once still and quiet flared with power. Railguns slid into firing positions, missile bays yawned open, and lances of blue energy pulsed through their conduits. What had seemed 7 fragile vessels now revealed themselves as predators with teeth bared. The Concord fleet faltered. Commanders shouted conflicting orders. Some urged retreat, others demanded retaliation. A wave of panic spread as human weapons locked onto multiple targets. The second strike came swiftly. 2 railguns thundered, their slugs tearing through the void faster than sensors could track. An alien destroyer's shields flared and failed in an instant. The slug ripped through its spine, snapping the vessel in half. Missiles followed, sleek shapes darting out in coordinated swarms. They wove through defense fire, adjusting mid-flight, and buried themselves in the hull of a carrier. Explosions rippled across its length until its engines tore free, venting fire into the nebula. Alien voices filled the channels, once arrogant, now panicked. They're tearing us apart. How can such small ships wield this firepower? Pull back! Pull back! On the Veraxis, Varix roared. Hold your ground! Crush them with numbers! But numbers meant little when discipline collapsed. Human strikes cut through Concord formations with surgical precision. Where alien weapons flared wide and spectacular, human shots struck true, disabling engines, cracking reactors, silencing turrets. Within minutes, the fleet that had come to intimidate was bleeding into wreckage. Drake's eyes narrowed on the flagship marker glowing red on her tactical display. The Veraxis loomed ahead, larger than any other vessel, bristling with weapon arrays. Ruiz leaned closer. Their pride rests on that ship. Bring it down, and the rest will break. Drake's reply was quiet, precise. We cripple, not destroy. Let their leader carry the memory. Orders moved across the bridge. The Retribution systems aligned, calculating firing vectors. The flagship shields flared under the first barrage, holding, barely. Human cannons adjusted instantly, striking weak points, burning through layers of defense with relentless accuracy. Alien escorts swarmed to intercept, but were shredded. Railguns tore holes through their hulls, and swarm missiles punched clean through their armor before veering into fresh targets. One by one, the Veraxis's defenders died in fire. On the alien flagship's bridge, officers screamed for action. "Our shields are failing! Engines damaged! Forward batteries unresponsive!" Varix slammed his claws against the console. "Fight! Do not retreat! They are only humans!" But the ship shuddered again as another blast ripped through its side, cutting power from half the deck. Systems flickered, lights dimming. The once mighty flagship drifted, crippled and exposed. Drake gave her final order. "Disable weapons! Leave engines cold!" The Retribution struck one last time, a lance of energy searing across the Veraxis's main battery array. The guns fell silent. The flagship floated powerless, its hull cracked, but not destroyed. The bridge of the Retribution held stillness, broken only by the hum of systems. Then Drake spoke, voice low but resonant. "Open channel!" The transmission crackled through. Varix's face appeared on screen, crest dimmed, arrogance strained into disbelief. Smoke swirled behind him, alarms screaming across his bridge. Drake's expression was stone. "Chancellor, you brought your fleet to demand our submission. Instead, you will leave in silence. Remember this day." Varix's mandibles opened but no words came. His eyes burned with humiliation, yet he could not deny what he'd seen. Drake leaned closer. "Humanity does not kneel. We rise." The channel cut. Concord ships that still had engines turned away, scattering in disarray. The survivors carried news far more devastating than any wreckage. The fleet that had come to cow humanity had been humbled, their leaders shamed before all. On the Retribution, the bridge eased into motion once more. Crew let out breaths they hadn't realized they were holding. Some exchanged glances filled with wonder. Holt whispered, almost to himself, "We stood against them, and they broke." Ruiz placed a hand on the young officer's shoulder. "Remember this, Lieutenant. Fear is louder than strength, until you face it. Then it dies." Drake said nothing. She gazed at the drifting remains of the Concord fleet, her thoughts turning not to triumph, but to what came next. "They'll spread word across the stars," Ruiz said quietly. "They will," Drake answered. "And the galaxy will see us differently. Not as hatchlings. Not as prey. But as equals." Her gaze lingered on the nebula, its golden light washing over the scarred hulls of her fleet. Humanity had declared itself not with words, but with fire. That declaration would echo long after the wreckage cooled. On the Veraxis, Varix slumped in his throne. Pride, once his armor, had been stripped bare. His officers dared not speak. His fleet, what remained of it, limped into retreat. Humans, mere humans, had shattered the illusion of Concord's superiority in a single clash. And worse than defeat, worse than humiliation, was the knowledge that every council chamber, every empire, every rival would hear the tale, how the upstarts from Earth had stood unshaken and burned a fleet of giants. Back on the Retribution, Drake closed her eyes briefly, listening to the quiet hum of her ship. Humanity had crossed the threshold. There was no returning to obscurity, no hiding behind distant stars. She opened her eyes, calm and resolute. "Signal the fleet. We return to Earth. They need to know what was done here." "Yes, Admiral," Breeze replied. The command deck glowed with renewed purpose. Systems reset, damage reports tallied, engines powered. The human ships, scarred but victorious, began to turn toward home. Through the viewport, the wreckage of arrogance drifted silently across the nebula, a monument to the day the galaxy learned a truth it could never unlearn: humanity's rise could not be stopped.